is State Representative Josh Miller. Josh, welcome to the program, sir.
Hey, thank you, Paul. It's an honor, as always, to be with you.
It's always an honor to have you on, too, sir. So likewise. Let's just start. In general, feel free to talk as long as you want or summarize, but, what was your impression of this past session?
Well, it's nobody but us and your listeners here, so I'm going to be honest with you. This session was pretty much a joke. We lowered income taxes on our tax bracket of folks that don't pay income taxes usually, and what they do pay, they make money on when they get their taxes back. And then, we continued to fight for and uphold Obamacare in Arkansas. We continued to not fully fund programs for the truly needy. And on top of that, we managed to raise a few fees and taxes. Exactly what you would hope for out of a Republican stronghold legislature and governor.
Yeah.
So
I'm picking.
That's my opinion.
On that last statement, that last statement, I'm picking up your sarcasm because you said it's exactly what you would hope for out of a Republican majority.
Exactly. Yes. And let me completely clarify. I am being 100% sarcastic. It was pathetic. It was just pathetic. I don't know. The taxpayers have every right to be aggravated and ashamed. The other day we were in the House of Representatives, and a colleague of mine had introduced a resolution. It wasn't a Convention of States resolution or anything like that, but it was a resolution just asking Congress to put it in the Constitution that marriage is between a man and a woman, one man and one woman. Now, that's low-hanging fruit for Republicans.
Yeah.
And Paul, we couldn't get that passed. We couldn't get a resolution. No, it wasn't going to affect anything, and Congress was never going to do it. But we still couldn't get it passed. It was just mind-boggling.
Yeah, obviously, I think the governor, he squashed that. He squashed the bathroom bill as much as he could, or any talk of a privacy protection bill, and he certainly wouldn't want to. We had LGBT people protest last session, so he was trying to avoid that at all costs.
Right, and and it's not like the thing I don't understand about it for people who claim to be conservative Republicans. We're never going to win. The folks, the LGBT protesters that are out there, they're never going to vote for us anyway. I don't think, I'm not saying that there aren't LGBT Republicans out there, but those folks that are out there protesting and raising Cain, at every little opportunity they have, they're never going to vote for a conservative Republican anyway.
Yeah.
And they don't reflect the vast majority of our constituency. And that's what's sad. Yet we continue to yield to them, and that's it's embarrassing.
Yeah, and that wasn't even on anything that really affected them. It was just on it was just about religious freedom restoration and that sort of thing. So, who knows? Who knows what it is? All right, so your summary. Back to your summary. The session was a joke, pathetic. Those are some of the words that you used. We find out today, State Representative Josh Miller, today that our revenue projections look worse. We're after the report that the governor, I believe, had the numbers last week, but we get them after you guys leave, and we're $65 million behind with only a few months until the end of the fiscal year. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think I honestly think that you could get that you could go out here and you could get a dozen shift managers at some local 7-Elevens to assemble themselves and put together a better budget than we've had the last 2 years. and I don't and the reason I say that, and I'm not slighting anybody that's a shift manager. The reason I bring that up is because shift managers actually know they have to budget time, they have to budget time cards, they have to budget payroll, they have to keep an eye on income, and they have to keep an eye on outgo. And they know that if they want to keep their position, they've got to keep all these ducks in a row, and they can't go out here and order inventory or do all this stuff without making sure that they're going to generate enough revenue for that to be profitable for their boss. And sadly, we don't have that same type of mentality down at the Capitol. It's like it's a whole different world than what the average business owner, even the average household family budget person, mom or dad or whoever it is that sits down has to map out a budget plan for the month and the year. At the state capitol, you don't have to operate like that. And but what's sad is that the chickens are about to come home to roost on account of poor budgeting, poor planning, and we thought if we go out here and give everybody that makes between $4,200 and $21,000 a year income tax cut, that's going to really spur job creation. Mm-hmm. And, and that's just a joke. It's not.
Yeah.
So anyway, those are my thoughts. Needless to say, I don't really probably have the greatest of attitudes about it.
He cuts taxes, but then he doesn't reduce the size of government, and he goes after as much revenue as he can. Talking about the governor, are you? Let me ask you this: a few things. What was your impression of the session concerning your Democrat colleagues? What did you think of the Democrats this session?
Well, in a way, I can almost I have a lot of appreciation for the Democrats a lot of times because they are politically polar opposite from me, but at least they're principled in their beliefs. But I don't understand. I think I go back to the private option Arkansas Works scenario, and the Democrats know good and well that this is a royal disaster on a train bound for destruction, quick. And they know that Obama had it right. If we're going to expand medical coverage to this population, we're better off financially to do it through fee-for-service Medicaid, just regular Medicaid expansion. And yet, the Republicans, 2013, they took it, made it worse. We tried something that hasn't worked. We've seen it hasn't worked. And now we're continuing to do it, and it makes absolutely no sense. And I mentioned to a few of my Democrat colleagues, I'm like, I don't know why y'all continue to allow this to happen. Even in the House, there's 24 of y'all. There's enough to stand up and say, hey, enough. We're not going to continue Medicaid expansion until you get the insurance companies out of it. The insurance companies aren't doing it as a charity work for the state of Arkansas. They're doing it because they're making millions and millions of dollars from our taxpayers. And so anyway, I was a little disappointed about that, but all in all, I think, the thing I appreciate about Democrats is most of the time you get what you see.
Yeah, no,
different than me.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I talked to some Democrats, politicians, and it was refreshing to at least for them to be like, yeah, I'm a liberal, and but at least they say it, versus, and this is my next question, your impression of the session concerning your Republican colleagues.
Well, I as far as the majority of our party down there is concerned, I'm not very happy with it at all because we continue to go out here. There's no way that everybody goes out here and gets elected and gets reelected by going home and saying, hey, we're going to continue to just try to skyrocket the cost on failed government programs. We're going to continue mass welfare programs for folks who just simply don't want to get a job, and we're gonna continue to do all this stuff. They don't get reelected based on that, and they go home and they talk about conservative principles and all that stuff, but then they go down there to the Capitol and go right along. Hey, vote for Arkansas Works, vote for this, vote for that, vote for tax increases one right after another. We've done all this stuff, and then right here at the end of the session, hey, let's run in here and do the internet sales tax. And while there's maybe an argument to be made at some point for there being an internet sales tax, there needs to be an equal or greater than deduction in the size of government if we do that, and in taxes elsewhere. But of course, that wasn't in our governor's plan. He's smart enough to look down the road and say he's going to need every available dollar that he can get his hands on to pay for Medicaid next year.
Yeah, and I think that is a given, and I almost wish he would just come out and say that, but that he needs as much revenue as he can get his hands on, and I mean that would at least be. I mean, maybe you'd even actually get support from that. Hey, we are in the situation we're in. I got to have all this money because we got to pay for these programs that I support. I really just want some intellectual honesty from those who are in leadership, and it's probably not pretty for them long term in terms of their credibility if they just be honest about what they supported and how they said things were going to be versus what people like you, people like me, were saying that we can't afford this. And it's no coincidence that they're having to go after and raise our taxes, whether it's internet, gas tax, whether it's the tire taxes. I mean, they're doing this because of exactly what we said, that when they have to pay, I think over $109 million for fiscal year 2017 is what it's going to be. They're going to come to us and raise our taxes. They're not going to cut government elsewhere to pay for this new population.
Well, I agree with you, and I think I have nothing, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, whether I agree with people's position on these different issues or not. I have nothing but respect for folks who will come at it and just maintain a consistent spirit of honesty about what they're doing and why. And, but that's so hard to find down there. Mm-hmm. Hey, we need you to vote this way. Boy, we really need to get this passed. And these insurance companies and all these, the hospitals and all this, they're going to come through for you, and a lot of big campaign contributions. And, hey, who knows, if you get beat, we might even find you a job down here somewhere.
Yeah.
All this kind of stuff. And then they say, you vote for it. If it's unpopular at home, we'll tell you what to say. And the last time I checked, it's our job as representatives and as senators we are to represent our districts at the state capitol, not represent the state capitol back to our district.
Well, on that question, let me ask you this. So many times this session in countless committees, we heard people asking what the governor's office thought of the bill. It was almost as if, they were making up their mind by whether or not the governor's office told them to vote for it right there, in the committee room. And so my question is this: why is that, considering constitutionally Governor Hutchinson is weak? Because if he vetoes something, we just come back and pass it with a simple majority. So they really have nothing to fear. So my last question, Josh Miller, is what else is at play here, do you think, that we don't know? There's obviously something else motivating them besides their constitutional authority.
The only thing I can think of is maybe they look around and they're afraid of the governor coming after them in a primary or something, for all I know. We don't work for the governor. I don't work for the governor. I don't work for the Speaker of the House. I don't work for the Senate. I don't work for my best friends down there. Technically, Paul, I don't work for you. I work for District 66.
Right.
And I have tried to be as clear as possible in my campaigns here at home that these are the things that I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to. These are my principles. This is what I'm going to stick by, and I'm going to keep my word to the folks in my district. And you know, when you do that, you don't have to wonder what the governor's office says or thinks. I mean, sure, maybe there's some little rat killing issue that, you know, every now and then doesn't hurt to have some feedback on. But you know, a lot of the bigger stuff, I saw it too. Folks sitting around wanting to know what the governor's office thought, and you know, no disrespect to anybody or the office or whatever, but I don't give a rip what the governor's office thinks. We're down here to do right, you know, to do what's right for our districts, and that's sometimes different. You know, good people can be on opposite sides of an issue, because something may be right for my district that's not right for yours.
Yeah.
But it's my job to work for my district, and it's not really a complicated process. But for some reason we've let it get that way.
Yeah. Well, you know, State Representative Josh Miller, I appreciate it, sir. You say some might be afraid of a primary. You certainly survived a primary from the governor's office. He went out and found a candidate to try to beat you, and he failed. And so it can be done. And so I appreciate you coming on and giving us your impression of the session. State Representative Josh Miller. Appreciate it, sir.
Appreciate you, Paul.
All righty. Be safe. Folks, we got to take a break. We'll be back in just a moment.
If you're like me, you believe that small business is the heart of Arkansas's economic engine, and it should be viewed that way by the politicians in Little Rock.